Welcome back to Smiths on Demand. We're here with another episode of Couch Conversations. And as y'all know, Dre and I waited for marriage. We literally had one of our very first dates at a prophetic conference. So God was all over and all up and in our relationship and really showed us signs that we were right for each other very early on. So we are excited to share 5 things godly women should never settle for in love. At the end of the day, we all know that if you know your worth and if you truly love God, you know that He has the best thing waiting for you. And if anything, if you haven't found it yet, He's just preparing you or preparing your person to be able to meet you where you are so that everything falls into place. And so these are 5 things that we really feel will help you make sure that you don't settle for anything less than what you deserve.
All right, number one is a man who doesn't share your faith in action. 2 Corinthians 6:14 says, "Don't be unequally yoked." You don't want to be a Christian and not dating a Christian because that's just not really going to work. But it's all about your actions. Like I grew up in the church. I went to a Christian school from elementary school to middle school. I played the drums in church. I was part of the usher board. I did everything. And I've seen people who in words say that they believe in God and that it's really ingrained in their faith. However, you don't see it in their actions. But also one thing I learned too is that everybody relationship with God is different, right? But you should be able to see it in their everyday walk, their morals, like not just on Sundays, but how they show up in their everyday lives. And I think that that's something that my wife saw in me, if she could speak to that, is that by the time we had met, I had a real different relationship with church because I was impacted by a lot of the hypocrisy that I saw, but it was so ingrained in me that I live my life every single day aligned with what I feel like God says he wants us to do and how we should live our life. So much that I told her before we got serious that I wanted to wait for marriage. Like that was all aligned with my posture and my relationship, with God. So not just in words when it comes to faith, but also in action are going to be very important when you're looking for your man. Because if you having him lead you, you want to know who leads him.
And I would say something I have always said and still say is that Dre's love was the closest thing that I experienced to God's love. I truly looked at the way that Dre moved, the way that he spoke, the way that he thought, the way that he prayed, and just who he was in general. And I was like, that is a godly man. That is somebody who I would follow. Number 2, disrespect of any kind. Proverbs 31:25 talks about dignity. And dignity is really just feeling worthy, feeling honored, and being treated with respect. Let me tell you this, no matter how many disagreements, arguments, or situations that we got into where I wasn't treating him kindly, he never disrespected me, never called me out of my name, never hit me, never threw anything, never made me feel like I was in danger. He always safeguarded and protected me and responded with nothing but grace, even when I wasn't giving that to him. And so, as a woman of God, we have this book of scriptures that is all about God just sharing and showing his love for us and the way that our husband is supposed to love and treat us. And so, when you know that, you stand by that.
Yeah, and I've been blessed to have both of my parents be pastors. My grandmother was a church school superintendent, and I had so many positive influences in my life. And not just saying churchgoers, but people that resembled God in the way that they walk. So that was instilled in me. So I think just my demeanor and the way I go about things is with that grace and that mindset of understanding that everybody's in a different place, but you treat people with respect and you treat people with dignity. And especially as somebody coming into a relationship supposed to be as being the leader, like I need to resemble that. Even at times early on, if it was a little tough and we had back and forth, never to let it cross that line, especially from me, because I have to be the one that's leading the way. Number three is inconsistent effort and communication. James 1:8 says a double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. Like you have to be consistent. And that's truly what love is. And that's how you build trust in your relationship. We see that love from God to us, but then we take that love and that example and give it towards our partner. Like love is a choice. Like sometimes you might not like your person all the time, but if you love them, you show up consistently every single day so that they know that they can trust you as a leader of the relationship.
Yeah, I think for me, being someone who was really struggling in like her personal life, like I was in a full on transition where, I wasn't perfectly packaged together. I came with a lot of baggage and I was upfront and honest about all the things that I was dealing with and going through. It was I felt safe bringing those things to him. I never hid what I was going through. I never was afraid to be honest and tell him the truth about any of my situations. The way that he showed up and was consistent with showing up was another thing that made me again say like, wow, this is an example of what God's love is like. Somebody choosing to show up for you and just choose you and be consistent with showing up for you time and time again, even when things aren't great and dandy, right? Like everyone says it's easy to be consistent in love when you go through like the honeymoon stage, but the true test is when you go through something hard. And that for me was a true tell sign of like, this is a man of God. And not only is he a man of God, but he is my man.
Okay.
Number four, a lack of vision or purpose. Proverbs 29:18 says that where there is no vision, the people perish. A godly man should have vision for his life and a willingness to align visions with you. This was something very early on that me and Dre got to test because 3 months into being together, we started a business and he quit his job and we put all of our eggs in one basket in starting this business together. And for me, it was the first time where I truly was a part of a man having a vision and the vision not working unless I was in it. And that was wild at 3 months of dating, right? But it showed the level of his faith and it showed the level of his commitment and just overall his obedience to what God put in his heart, but also what God was doing with our relationship.
Yeah, I think goal setting together is so important. It's like when it comes to setting goals in a relationship, there are so many factors that can change, but there are a lot of things that stay the same. And we're not talking about, oh, this person has to work at this job. We're not talking about this person has to do this. We're not talking about positioning. We're talking about purpose. Like, where are we trying to go? What type of life are we trying to have? And I think it's important for me as a man, and like I said, somebody who's leading to be able to set the direction, but also as another thing which is going to be important is to be able to put together a plan for, hey, this is how we're going to get there. And there should be confidence in that you can actually instill in her and somebody who's following you to say like, hey, I know that you may not understand at this time, but I have a confidence. I've prayed about this. I've thought about this. uh Bree knows God talks to me a lot, and definitely in the shower. He's a little bit more straightforward with her. She'll see a license plate that say trust God. But for me, it's like I hear him in different ways. So it's like when I'm saying something, there's a belief that like, okay, this is where we need to go. And I think throughout our relationship, there's history and a track record that a lot of times when I'm very adamant about something, it does end up working out for us. So that builds that relationship to say like, okay, if you say you got a plan and you thought about it and you prayed about it and you talked to people and you feel good about it, then let's go forward with that.
A good example of this is we recently, almost a year ago, Dre came to me and was like, I think you should retire your business and just focus on like starting a family. And we just do Relationship Restored and Smiths on Demand full time. That was something that for me, it wasn't even like a thought in my mind, but because of my love and trust for him and because of his consistency and how he has shown and proven time and time again that the decisions that he is making and that we're making together are for the betterment of our relationship and our long-term well-being. And so it is just a beautiful thing to find a man who you can truly follow without any questions.
And number five, this is the most obvious one, a relationship that pulls you away from God. You should not be with somebody who is not feeding into your faith, but pulling away from your faith. Like they are doing things that don't align with your morals and your values, and it just doesn't feel right. And you feel like you have to compromise your faith, who you are, and what you believe to be with that person. And it's not even saying that they're a bad person or that they won't come back to their faith if they kind of like, went off to the left or went off to the right. But if you are in this walk and you want to be in a position to where you're aligning with God, I think it's important to be with somebody who is on that journey. But I want to emphasize too that this does not mean perfection. Like, you are not in the judge seat and they are the defendant, to where every single action that they're taking, you're looking at them like, oh, that's not in line with God, that's not in line with God, and that's not in line with God. It's really about the heart of the person. Like, how are they going about things? What's their thought process? They are human, they're going to make mistakes. And don't what they say, whenever you point the finger is five or four pointing back at you, it's like, if you try to put the spotlight on somebody for not doing something godly, like, they could easily do that back to you, because we're all not perfect, we're going to make mistakes, but the heart of their actions, the things that they say, like, those things should align. And if they're constantly pushing you and pulling you to do things that aren't aligned, that probably isn't the person you want to be with if you want to stay true in your faith.
Yeah, and I want to end the video on just reminding you that if you are a woman of God, that means that you are trusting God's timing. If you are single, baby, live your best life. You do not need a life partner to be happy, to be whole, or to enjoy life. You just don't. Again, trust God's timing. What's for you is for you, but enjoy the process. And what do the girls do nowadays? Is it this? Do you, boo? Live your best life. Is it this or this? Y'all let me know in the comments. I don't know. It's one of these things.
Yeah.
T. That's what it is. Live your best life, okay? Your man is coming.
For sure.
Saying like a good steak, okay?
And like Bree said, everything's about God's timing. We are in the process of trying to start a family, and we've had 2 miscarriages, but we're understanding that it's all about God's timing. So if you want to hear about our journey and our process, the ups and downs of that, make sure you go to our Couch Conversations playlist to check out, like, us talking about our miscarriages and how we initially felt going into them in the beginning and how we felt after having 2.
Yep. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. It is free for you, but means the world to us. And until next time.
See ya.